And we're live from the beam yard. Well, not yet. We're on our way to the beam yard. This is Patreon only. See, I say that so I remember when I go back and look at these videos, I'm like, aha, upload this one to Patreon. So, this is a Patreon only. It's middle of the day, 18 June, about 12:40. Just doing our post-lunch walkabout. You don't want to eat a bunch of food or even a little bit of food and just let it sit right there in your stomach because you'll get real lethargic. So even doing like 5-10 minutes of walking, just being up and moving around, helps settle that, right? And you don't get that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock crash where you just nosedive. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. But we'll talk anyway. So it's June, right? Then we got July, then we got August. And then depending on where you live, end of August, into September is going to be when people really start planting in their gardens again. And all that kind of takes a little bit of preparation, right? Like, what are you going to put in your garden? What are your big fall plans, right? And so I haven't harped on it lately, but I've been really big on food lately. Even in amongst all the insanity that we've had with the moving and the getting set up in the new place. And, one of the first things I did there was get a garden going. And I am just simply amazed by how well certain things are growing there. So, I'm looking forward to that, but here shortly, it'll be time to harvest that stuff, Yah willing. And then what? Well, down here, you kind of have the blessing and the curse of like 2.5 growing seasons, maybe 3 growing seasons. But it gets so hot in the middle of the day, and the sun can be so brutal in the middle of the day that even things like chili peppers that like the heat and like the sun will just wither and die. Grasses won't grow. They go into senescence. They stop growing, right? They just basically press pause until it cools off and then more rain comes again. So we don't plant much in the summer as far as, a garden goes, but I do think about fall. It's like, well, what's coming for fall? Well, for me, for us, we definitely want ruminants, and I'm working a few different angles for goats and for sheep, and I'd like to have some cows, some beef cattle, but I don't think we're there yet. I think that'll be like a next year thing, not a this year thing. That's a pretty big, task to try and tackle with no equipment up there and nothing fenced just yet, and very little bandwidth to buy the equipment, run the equipment, maintain the equipment, and purchase the cattle and the whole nine. We're not there yet. So ruminants are coming. And then I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the pinto beans. I've never had fresh pinto beans. I don't even know if that's a thing. And I want to see what kind of yield we get. I planted 2 pounds. Man, I think I'm looking at least 100 pounds of pinto beans. Don't count your eggs before they hatch, but that whole area is just jam-packed full. And I'm curious to see what happens with my feed corn too for my chickens. And I should have chickens laying by November, hopefully. So just the point is, all this is thought pieces, right? If you're pretty much anywhere you're living, even if you're in an apartment, you can get some potted plants and put them out on your balcony or wherever and get something growing. So start thinking about what are your next steps for summer and for fall. And summer for us is more of a, I hate to use the word lethargy, but we take it a little bit easier because you could literally die from overdoing it in the summer around here. But come fall, once it starts to cool off just a little bit, man, you get back into like the low 90s and the high 80s, you get a lot of stuff done. Especially when the weather just hovers in the 80s, you can get a lot of stuff done. Look at that oak tree. That oak tree needs to be on a sawmill. Right there. Oh, I found some pics of me, little baby T, back in the day in the woods cutting timber. I'll have to upload those for y'all too. But so it's just an earworm. What are you looking forward to? Let me know down here in the comments. What are your big plans for this fall? What's your big three? What are you trying to get done? For us will be continued expansion in the garden, and I definitely want to get another crop of pintos in, and I definitely want to get a crop of potatoes in, and a crop of garlic in. Probably a lot of garlic. If you haven't seen over on the YouTube channel, Squid's Garlic, we've been talking about bringing some of that up to Oklahoma and planting it there. I think we're going to plant a lot of it and just see what happens, because it's valuable and it's good. So if we can turn that literally into a cash crop, we're gonna. So expand the garden, get ruminants in, and get the bridge done. I have to make some headway on that bridge, because once it starts raining again, we can't be trapped on the far side of the creek with no way to get out again. So those are my big three for fall, end of summer and fall. And I would just, because I love you guys, encourage you to put a fine point on what your big three things are for the end of summer and fall, because you can't hit a target you can't see. So step one is identify the target. Step two is work out a battle plan. How do I get from where I am to where I need to be, right? Step three is how do I assault this target? What are the actual action steps that I'm gonna take to do this? Step four is crack a cold one and rejoice because you've completed your mission. So, and just throwing this out there, we may also, maybe, don't know yet, maybe be buying a sawmill. Not a big one. I mean, I think the throat's 26 inches. It's big enough, because like that back there, you have no perspective, but from where I'm standing, that's a 24-inch diameter clean Quercus rubra red oak. So, and there's another one right next to it. And all these beams out here are all red oak, and they can all be sawn up for flatboard stock or turned into firewood. And at $350 a cord in this neck of the woods, that's some money. So anyway, put a fine point on what your big three are, and plan and execute that plan. Let me know down below what your big three are. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.